here and our co-chair. We'll have to be nominating those positions or reevaluating those, so I'll be assisting in running the meeting tonight. But can I get a motion to approve the agenda tonight at 6:32 p.m.?
A motion to approve the agenda.
A second.
I second.
I have a point of order. There was no minutes attached to you didn't have a packet regarding this, so you're going to be approving minutes that I haven't seen. Are the copies of minutes over there?
They are.
And I just recommend you guys always make sure that you have what's called a packet.
Okay, thank you. We're going to save that to public comment, please.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, let's get started.
Okay.
So is there any public input tonight? Other than
I
that,
think he gave
that
us our
was that your
input.
public input?
No.
Okay. Would we like to have any?
That was a point of order. There's a separate thing, and I do these meetings all over.
Okay.
And so a point of order, a separate thing, and then we go ahead and I can speak on the other topics.
Okay, so is there any public comment?
I do. I kind of explained, and this is not on agendized items, I can't talk on those, so I am aware of that. They have all kinds of problems with the supervisor meetings, other people come up there and start talking, no, that's on the agenda, sit down. So, but anyway, I have major, and I told you a little bit about myself before the meeting, old people, kids, and dogs. But, you know, I have safety concerns. So this particular room here is a meeting hall. And I have safety concerns at your facility also over there. I was informed today that this room has an occupancy of 147 people. And that concerns me because I cannot see 147 people in here safely happening. And that, I know that you're here, so I wanted you to be aware of that. And then I'm going to go ahead, and I also have concerns regarding Cash Hall as far as its occupancy. And of course, there's legal requirements, my understanding, I could be correct, but it's supposed to be posted in here. 147 people can come into this room. I don't know, do you have your occupancy posted over at Cash Hall, how many people you can have there? So the person who gave me the 147 is your building department person, and he said it's 5 square feet per chair, per person. And if I figured you got 6,000 square foot at least over there. So can you fit 1,200 people into your building over there? I have concerns, and I want the people to be safe. I would really like to see that building sprinkled with, you know, a fire suppression system so we don't lose the building. So that gym that we have that was donated to the city and many people work, and I donated time in the past one. But these are concerns of mine. So I really hope that you work with safety and you guys make sure that we don't lose these buildings when we might be able to get a grant to make everything safe and not have 147 people in this room or 1,200 plus over there in your other building. Those are my concerns. I just wanted to bring that for you at this time.
Thank you. Is there any other public comment? All right. Moving to the commissioners, would you guys like to reply or move on to item number 4?
Move on to board.
Let's move on.
You got it. All right, item number 4, reviewing minutes from our last meeting on May 3rd. The minutes are attached on page 2. And if you guys are satisfied with the minutes, then we would get a motion in a second at this time.
I was there and I can't remember, so looks good to me.
I was not there.
I wasn't there either, but reading them, I'm fine with them. What do you see here?
What would be, so when you, sorry, just so I understand the process, what would I like, if I didn't want to approve them, what would be a reasoning to not approve them?
So we could approve them or not approve them on the basis that you guys are new commissioners and you weren't here to witness the meeting. So then at that point, we would wait for our next one where the commissioners that are absent tonight that were there would be the ones to move those. We can always approve minutes at a future meeting.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
What would be like the point of waiting to do that though? Like what is the approving minutes?
July 5th would be our next meeting.
I'm sorry, I'm saying like, why do we do it? Like, what does it mean to approve the minutes?
It means that it captures the gist of what the action items were in the meeting.
Okay.
Right, make sure there's no errors in it or something like
Yeah.
that. It's there wasn't.
Something
If
happened.
somebody says, hey, this happened, but it didn't, but it wasn't written down or something like that.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
So, I make a motion to postpone the approval of the minutes until the next meeting.
Second.
all in favor say aye.
Public comment?
1 minute, please. All in favor say aye.
Bye.
All opposed?
So, motion to, how are we saying that?
Motion to postpone the minutes to
Postpone.
our next meeting for approval.
Postpone minutes.
I have another point of order, and he can tell you that what I have the right to do is point of order or anything. The normal process here is you normally have something on your agenda, and you can make a motion. Before you motion, you're to take public comment so that we can make a comment regarding your topic. And that happens on every single agendized item that you have on the meeting. And so to make a motion and a vote without taking public comment is not the normal procedure that I follow. Maybe you don't have the Brown Act or normal procedures, just letting you know, since I've been doing this for 15 years. And so that's the normal process. And I'm just trying to help educate you folks as far as the process. So technically you should have had public comment prior to making your vote on that topic.
Thank you. Is there any other public comment?
I'd like to make public comment if I could. That was my point of order.
Okay, is there additional public comment?
So regarding the minutes, my understanding is, and I could be corrected by your staff, but you don't have to have been at the meeting to approve the minutes. If you look at the minutes and you feel they're correctly represented, you folks can go ahead and approve the minutes. This is quite common. I attend the supervisors meeting, Eureka Council, all the council meetings. So you can't do that even though you weren't at the meeting, or if you don't have enough information to say you can do it, then you can abstain from voting. And that's the other process you can have under these circumstances. So thank you for my ability to make that comment. Hopefully educate you as far as the process a little bit.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I would just like to comment that I don't see, I think more often than not, things that get corrected in the minutes are things that are either missing or, somebody says, oh, I remember talking about that, and that's not quite what I said, or I really wanted to stress this point, that sort of thing. So I think how Emily has, has her calendar in here, that would be pretty straightforward. But it's the capturing the comments and the discussion that gets a little harder. And so it's just, it's just about trying to be accurate about how you capture that. So, and I don't remember anything from that meeting because that was 2 whole months ago. So I can't be any help there.
Would you like to move on to item 5?
Yes.
Here we have upcoming events. You can see upcoming meetings in the city. And then move down to events. Our regularly scheduled events are at the top. And then we move down to our family skate is the first one coming up in June. This Sunday actually. And then we'll have a karaoke skate afterwards that night. We have our Mad River Youth Enduro coming up, partnered with RCMBA. And then our adult skates, a regularly scheduled event. Camp Perigo with the summer camps will be starting, and then we officially got our market scheduled for our summer markets this year. And that's in partnership with Humboldt Made and North Coast Growers Association.
Is that up for discussion?
Absolutely. Well, we are partnering with them, so the discussion of partnering with a different planner would not be up for discussion, but how the markets go about would be.
Okay. I just want to be really specific about how things go with Humboldt Made this year, since last year we had continuous issues with not being asked permissions before they moved into spaces, and what facilities they have use of, how many staff members are expected to be there on private property while they are using the space.
Is that something that the city delegates, or is that through, is it like when you say private property, is that Del Arte's private property?
That is Del Arte's property.
So would that be like a Del Arte Humboldt made thing, or is the city, where does the city fit in on that?
Well, so the city is facilitating, and I think that we also use Central Park,
We
right?
use Town Square.
Town Square.
Yeah,
I
Central,
call it Central.
our Central Park.
We use New York terms.
Yeah, they-
Blue Lake. So it's a mix of city property and Del Arte's property. And last year we had a lot of issues with them just taking liberties while nobody was there. I just want to make sure that's really clear with them.
Maybe you guys can share with us a little bit more about how Humboldt Made actually functions with the Sunday markets, because my impression was just that it was a promotion, like advertising thing, but I'd love to understand more about how that works.
So Humboldt Made last year took a greater role of the overall organizing of the markets. They picked the dates, they did the marketing, they did the vendor outreach, and then intake of filtering through those. And then they actually did the setup, the physical part, to where the city on our end didn't have to worry. We could show up Sunday at 11 o'clock when it started, and we were good to go. This year, that's not quite how it's going to run due to some of those issues. So what we're going to be working with Humboldt Made on is the marketing part and the access to vendors, because they have a huge list of hundreds of people that they're familiar and friendly with. It certainly can help build our connections in Blue Lake. What we weren't pleased with, and we expressed to them, was the communication with Del Arte, with us. We weren't satisfied with the wrap-up of, when event's done, normally you get together and you talk about it. And so we thought, hey, we're going to scale back a lot of the services we paid for last year and just ask for the marketing aspect and the vendors, the connections they have. We're going to be setting up on our end. We're going to be booking the music this year. Cherish is in charge of the music, my recreational coordinator. And as far as getting the event permit together and general booking of, where the porta potties go, where the people are going to be able to drink and eat and socialize. So we're going to have more control, and that's what we're looking for this year. Especially as we move forward and do this in years future, we'd like to understand how to run the market ourselves and eventually not perhaps need as many partnerships, paid partnerships at least.
And when you say that we're going to have more control, who is going to be directing? Is that going to be you?
So it's going to kind of fall between Vandy, Cheris, and I. Our other recreational coordinator, Austin Jones, who we welcome back. He's done a lot of the summer camp stuff. And then our public works crew. They're the ones who set up the street closures and designate those areas. Booking the porta potty stuff will be me. Cheris's music. The alcohol, to my understanding, we'd like Del Arte to do.
We'll take that on.
So that leaves a lot of stuff more on the city's side.
Is the city going to have like safety, just people there for safety, or should Del Arte plan on not necessarily security, but just someone to watch and make sure that like our deck is unsafe for the public to go on right now, so we want to make sure that there's someone there just kind of watching to make sure that everything is safe and that the signs are being followed. Also, like making sure that alcohol doesn't cross the street, unless we can figure out how to make that possible. Does Del Arte need to plan on having a staff member there, or is the city going to provide someone there?
So We'll be providing our rec specialist is the proper title. And there are younger staff that will help monitor crowds and crowd control, safety. And I have a crew of about 10 that currently work in that position.
Okay, perfect.
Does the city make money off this event?
Last year we did collect vendor fees. We about broke even on the market aspect of what we paid out and what we got in, but that doesn't include what the vendors make personally. It was more last year a pitch of bringing people out to Blue Lake, getting them familiar, and linking a first-time partnership with Humboldt Made and the Growers Association.
So from the city's perspective, what's their like hope or intent for having this?
Having it again.
Yeah, like
And,
what's,
and eventually eventually to profit off of it? Is that the plan?
Absolutely.
how does the city profit off so how would they profit off the summer market?
So watching their vendor side more closely, I expressed to them that I don't just want them to do the marketing for us and do the vendors and then, not show us how it's done, but our goal is to run this as the city of Blue Lake by ourselves, to where we're not having to pay a third-party organization for their expertise. And we're almost there, but we're not quite there, if that makes sense.
So that's what we're doing now. So sorry, when we say we partner with them, they're taking
Yeah.
a piece of the pie, and then eventually we could get a bigger piece of that pie, and that would make the city some money.
Absolutely.
Gotcha.
So getting the connections, like last year we were really kind of out of the picture. We let them run the show. This year we want to be more in the show and learn how they do it. So by next year we don't have to pay for the marketing, pay for the vendors, pay for just figuring out how to coordinate that all, because it goes far when you have 50 different groups trying to coordinate for 7 weeks.
Emma and I are also learning how to organize and run our own markets. So I think we'll get there
Yeah.
as a team.
Can you give us some idea? I seem to recall a figure of something like $6,000 was paid to Humboldt Made last year. Is that correct?
That was our contract amount last year for all running the whole show.
Right.
And I believe we did it for 6 weeks last year. And then the bands, part of that is the bands themselves, per Sunday, whoever played, I think it was $500 that the band would receive for playing. So that was a large portion of the budget, was music,
Okay.
which we're looking to scale back a little bit this year, because they had told us this year, well, that was actually on the higher end of what you could be paying people for just 3 hours of playing. And so, is there any other discussion before we move to public comment?
That was 500 per band and not 500 per performer.
Yeah, per
So it's-
band,
okay.
so it would get split, or if it was like a DJ, then they would get it all.
Go ahead.
Nope, sorry.
Before we go to public comment, when we're still on events, is this the list of all the events for the summer, or is there some that we added, or?
So these are just city of Blue Lake events. These don't include like what the logger may be doing.
What about, like things, for instance, like Hoptoberfest?
Hoptoberfest, I just didn't go that far out in the calendar.
Okay.
But that is scheduled.
I just saw that somewhere.
Yeah, it's nestled in there somewhere.
Somewhere, okay.
Oh, it's on the project list for 2023.
Yeah.
Okay.
You guys have anything else?
Is your hands up?
How much are you paying for this year?
We have not drawn into a contract yet. We just met with them. It was late last week and talked about the different roles and our issues we had last year and what worked, what didn't. So we're waiting to see their proposal to back into that number. But I would have that in our next meeting in July. Is there any other public comment?
It was fantastic. I was out there and walked around and watched the people, and very good vibes. I strongly support. Don't tell them you're trying to wean them from the financial pot. Get the knowledge, because they do have the connections, and you do want to keep them involved in a working relationship, because they will continue to have the ability to bring in different people and help have diversification there. Strongly support you guys taking over that part. Part of what I noticed there was that it did seem functional. I wanted to maybe make a suggestion to you. The city council is in the process of possibly negotiating a contract with an independent law enforcement firm instead of having a sheriff budget. And if you have alcohol and you have things of that nature here, it's probably better for you to have somebody who has that level of law enforcement to help deal with any problems you have. I think they're $45 an hour is what I understand. And that's what Trinidad's getting them for. And if we can get them for that rather than the sheriff, we can't afford it anymore. It's way better to have actual, and these people, they're not, I call them Barney Fives, they're all retired CHPs, sheriffs, deputies, and law enforcement. They're the older people who know how to deal with people. We don't want those harassment. But we do need, I think, a professional if you are going to have law enforcement, especially regarding alcohol. It's something that I think you don't want to jeopardize the city as far as liability goes. Just a suggestion in that path.
Thank you. Is there any other public comment regarding?
I was curious, can you tell us what the budget is to Humboldt Bay this year?
So do not have that proposal yet. The budget, we told them, is not going to be $6,000 for the markets going to them. Overall, we have $6,000 about to spend this year, but it's not all going to go to that particular contract. We're waiting to see what the proposal is going to be though, and possibly negotiate that further down.
And I don't have a calendar in front of me, so the 16th of July to the 27th of August, did you say that's 6 weeks, 6 Sundays?
It is. There's 1 week, August 6th, we're going to be having a wedding at Del Arte. And so we've decided to not have the market around the wedding.
And I think Annie and Mary Day is missing from this, if I'm not cross-eyed.
It's a couple pages down.
Yeah, but it's not in the project list.
Can I see it? It's on the,
They don't have, they just have the agenda.
oh, sorry. Yeah,
They just have the agenda, they don't have the recreational month overview.
If you have a separate packet, it's nice that you have, we can get that. It should be on your website 72 hours in advance. There was no packet you get, we should also have.
Gotcha.
And, okay, so the markets are listed here going from July 16th through August, right? I'm sorry, I need to find this
August
again.
27th.
Through August 27th. So, so July 15th, Del Arte is hosting an outdoor market and festival event the day before. So it's just, it's good to know.
Absolutely.
We need to prepare for this, but also, the next Sunday, the 23rd of July, the Folklife Festival is going to be going on.
Charis has been talking with Alyssa about that,
Okay,
to make sure that all works well together.
gotcha, okay.
And I think that's the week that you guys are gonna be doing the music, and so.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
So it's just, okay. All right. I just need to start adding that into our discussions over there.
So, is there any, so you're saying one of those weeks is a Folklife Festival weekend. So are you gonna try to have a Sunday market that same weekend?
It's gonna be built around that. Alyssa, who runs Del Arte, is their director, and Charis, that's doing our music, have been communicating, and they've said that that would add to their event, and that they think it'd be a positive thing to go on. So
I'm just wondering if you might not be a lot more successful if you tried to have both events on the same day, where you already have a huge influx of people.
Well, they are gonna be on the same day and they're gonna be in the same place.
Oh, okay.
Which was
okay.
my-
I thought the Folklife was always on Saturday and the Sunday market was gonna be on Sunday.
Folklife is all week,
Yeah, it's
that
on
week.
Right, but the free festival's usually Saturday. Right.
Yes, the free festival is on the 29th. So the Folklife Festival starts on the 23rd, and that's the day that there's gonna be a market and festival at the same time.
Okay. And my
And then-
suggestion would be to consider having the market on the Saturday when the free festival is happening.
People like free.
Yeah, because there's so many people in town, and your vendors would have a real good chance of doing a whole lot better on the Saturday that has, 1,000 or more people in town than they might the following day. Just something to think about.
Thank you. Is there any other public comment? We're ready to move on to item 6.
Mhm.
Cool. Commissioner welcome and role review. So we have 2 new commissioners that have joined us, James from Paradise K and Jaden from Del Arte. Yay! And then Leela is not an official commissioner, but she's interested in possibly being a student liaison. So she's just checking it out tonight.
A student from where, if you don't mind me asking?
Arcata High.
Arcata High, oh.
Yeah.
Do you work here at Parks and Rec?
No.
So something I wanted to do is we currently have a secretary, Jeff, but we have lost our chair, which is kind of the person who would be normally facilitating this meeting, and so we would need to elect a new chair member. Our co-chair is Jennifer Sauerfeld, who's not here tonight. But I wanted to propose if anyone was interested in being the chair for this commission, to let me know right now.
I would like to meet the other 2 people before,
Okay.
kind of get a feel for everybody and
Okay.
and have them get a feel for us before any one of us said.
I'm on the same page.
So, I'm curious about, how you manage when, I know this isn't the city council, but when people don't, I haven't seen, Bettina for a while. And do you check in, or does she check in with you and let you know she's not gonna be here?
Yeah,
So
She
we know
did.
she still wants to be on the commission and everything.
she wants to be. She had a scholarship award that she's delivering tonight on behalf of her school to a student.
Sure.
Yeah. But she said that she will make it for our July 5th. She's put it in her calendar.
And that'd be definitely something like when she comes to the next meeting to discuss
Yeah.
with her, like, if somebody has like obligations that come more frequently than somebody else, then I wouldn't think they'd be the right person necessarily for that chair position.
Yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely. The co-chair is Jen. If she's interested, then we'd have that position open.
Okay.
And then if you'd like to continue being the secretary, then that would remain.
I'm open, I can help in whatever we need help with. I feel like I'm a terrible secretary. So I'm doing something else, but if it works, whatever we need.
Okay. And the city can provide templates for you to use to fill in, if that helps.
Just help me liking this music.
Cool. Awesome. Well, thank you guys for, we'll save them
Yeah,
the
please.
chair, co-chair for the next meeting. I believe that would need a motion in a second.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
we'll take public comment.
Your job could be, if your secretary, could be way easier than it was before because this meeting's being recorded. And I highly recommend it to make accurate comments from what the people said. You listen to the recording or whoever's going to be the secretary, listen to that. Now, you can't be wrong if you got it from a recording. That's one of the great benefits we have of somebody recording all these meetings, is the accuracy there. And if people like myself who make comments, when I go over the minutes and I will see that my comments were reflected accurately as far as what was in the minutes, and that is very, very much facilitated by that wonderful job we have here taking the meetings.
Is there any other public comment?
I make a motion to postpone the appointment of chair and next meeting.
Second that.
All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. The second item on here is our project list for 2023, quarter 3 and quarter 4. So as we move into the summer and fall, winter months, there's a lot of possibilities and programming with Parks and Recreation. We have our leisure Leisure Month coming up, Recreation Month in July, which we have a proposed calendar on that next page of the 5 weeks of July and what will be going on then. We have our summer markets, those dates there with the exception of August 6th. There's been some talk of possibility of partnering with Folklife or another organization to host a barn dance, Delarte, or formal, something of that nature. We have back to school coming up soon in August. Partnering with Blue Lake Elementary to do something fun, a dance, a parade, any of that. Halloween, local partnerships, whether the commission would be interested in trying to find a pumpkin patch drop-in type of thing for Blue Lake, a little carnival, etc. And Parks and Rec general programming, just what we have going on, like pickleball, basketball, type of stuff. Winter, we have the horse tour, our tree lighting and parade, and New Year's. So these events are just here to kind of give direction and get your feedback of how we'd like to steer the general programming of our offerings.
Is there talk of doing I know there's a business trick or treat route for Halloween. Has there been any talk of doing that again this year?
Mm-hmm. We certainly liked the business aspect last year because it got people to not just go to random green spaces. But yes, we'd like to work with the resource center again. Howard was really great in creating that map.
Is that who took care of it last year?
We partner with Molly or the resource
Okay.
center here to create that,
Okay.
do the outreach.
The Medieval Festival of Courage, is that not here because we do not organize that?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's
It's on the next page. Where is that gonna be at?
it's gonna be at the horse arena, but then also moved partially into Perigo Park, just due to the congestion and the safety of everyone. It was very packed, which is great.
It was pretty tight.
Yeah, it was very tight. So we'd like to extend the village into Perigo Park and have a second village. Which, yeah. Any other comments? I put the future agenda items, a park use policy. As we start having larger events, I think it's important we have a good neighbor type of document that we can reference about notifying for events that might have louder sound or amplified music, that might run late, might have a lot of people and parking. But I thought that might be a good thing for a future agenda. Music events and partnerships. We've made some improvements to our Prosh Hall sound absorption. We've ordered some sound panels to reduce the noise and the echo in there. And so with that, it could open up our possibilities for a lot of concerts and music events, but we think it's important to be careful and selective in what we bring to Blue Lake in a family-friendly space. So perhaps a policy regarding that. Moving forward, a scoreboard fundraiser. We have opportunities to put a scoreboard into Prosh Hall and host basketball tournaments, and then fundraise additionally for one in our softball field. So that could be something that the commission works on, and then the bike park. Moving forward into a construction plan.
So, like the scoreboard on the scoreboard, is there a fundraiser? I thought there was one of the fundraisers that we had was for Michaela.
Yeah.
For the softball field. Was that for the softball field, or is that?
So that will go towards the scoreboard going into the softball
Okay.
field. They generally run about 35 to 5,000, I've heard. So either having a third party come in and pay for the rest of it, or fundraising for it would be ideal.
So there was fundraising already, like they did raise a certain amount.
I have to ask Bill.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, but okay. I guess it seemed like it was a nice event. Like
We had
really good turnout.
90 runners on the dot, so I thought that was cool
Nice.
Was
for a first time event.
it $10? It was almost $10 a spot or something, so about $900.
Yeah, I think it was 4 for 35 or $10 a person, and most people were single runners from the running club. So it looks like we made a good amount for a first time.
Nice.
But we'd like to get the scoreboards in at some point before next spring, really to open up our possibilities there.
Right, and those possibilities, is that getting some of the schools to play tournaments out here?
Yeah, it'd be kind of coordinating and showing that we can host tournaments at our regulation. We just got restriped in Prosh Hall to have official court lines for pickleball, for volleyball, basketball. And so that could open, and coordinating with Blue Lake Elementary to do dual tournaments. I've heard could be lucrative. Seems cool.
All right.
Yeah. But that's our project list. There's not necessarily any action
Right.
regarding that, but I just rather an update.
There's one that you didn't say much about, and that's the leisure sports tournament. Is that looking like it's gonna happen, or is that like a long shot?
So that will come up on one of our next pages, and we'll talk a little more
Okay.
about that.
Okay.
Is there any more comment from the commission? Any public comment on item number 6?
I'm curious about the bike park. I've heard lots of different things about that, but they don't all quite go together. So I've heard that, oh, we're getting ready to move dirt, and then, oh, we didn't get the funding. So can you give us an update on where we are with the bike park?
Yeah, so right now we do have the dirt. We're gonna be working with Pepe to do some of the initial grading before the heat kind of ramps up in July. We just applied for a Clean California grant for about $800,000 to hopefully, they have a lot of money that's for these types of projects, specifically bikes and trails and creating that type of infrastructure. So we're hoping we get it, because then we could really go almost fully into stage 2, complete paving, the half pipe, the smaller area for like skateboards and stuff. So that's what we're hoping for. With right now, we have the money to start stage 1, moving the dirt and getting those initial grading plans done. A lot of it has to do with before we put the second layer of substrate or whatever you'd call it, you want to make sure the water's going to drain correctly. So the initial foundation is good.
So the whole thing's either going to be cement or pavement?
No, not the whole thing. So we're going to have a dirt pathway around there. We're going to have a bowl that will be paved, a smooth bowl, and then we're going to have a paved pump track, which is designed to be kind of multifaceted to use skateboards, bikes, roller skates, etc., scooters.
Is there a plan drawing of the bike park?
There is. It's on our under Parks and Rec. You can go to the bike park page, and all of that's laid out there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of watching what's going on with the Danco project down in that particular area, which is contiguous to that parcel. And today I saw a site plan that reflected from SHN, your engineer, that possibly, which is important, there needs to be a turnaround at the end of Taylor Road since it doesn't go through. And that actually one of the two plans actually went onto the parcel where the bike park is. So hopefully that won't be the solution to the required safety problems that you have down in that area. And I'm always about safety and liability. So, but I did notice that there were two options. One did go out into that for the turnaround. Hopefully it'll be on the other side. So that'll be something I think will be addressed more in the Danco project, possibly as far as mitigation. But I did want it's a wonderful project. The kids need to be out there, and a great thing to do. And the other thing is, don't irritate Pepe, because you're kind of trying to keep him on your side on this one.
Yeah, I know.
He's easy to irritate, I can guarantee you.
We're getting close to his land.
Yeah, right there.
Thank you. I'd have to check with the planning commission about that. To be honest, I haven't seen
Sure.
those new plans. But that would be more in their jurisdiction to let them know at their meeting to check that out.
Great.
But thank you for that. Is there any other public comment on the project list? No? Okay. We'll move on to our recreation
Excuse me.
month overview is what it's titled. And laid out the 5 weeks of July here, and generally what's going on every weekend. So the first weekend, we're gonna partner here with the Resource Center to do some yoga in the park on July 1st. And then an infused water bar from the serving booth so people can put fruits and stuff in their water and have a good time relaxing to music. And we'll have our softball traditionally in the park on Sundays on the 2nd. The next weekend is our car show and Annie and Mary Day. That third weekend is Del Arte's Art Market. That open Sunday right there really could be the,
Wait, we already have, aren't the summer markets starting on the 16th?
yeah, that's what I said. I left that out. But that's an open Sunday for something in the park. I figured the farmers market would kind of be the second event. That following next week, we have an open Saturday, but we do have a family skate at the roller rink, the 23rd of July. And then that last week, we have the Folk Life Festival and our regularly scheduled DJ night. The 30th is open. We weren't sure if Del Arte had any closing celebrations for Folk Life or if that was.
Let me check my calendar. Not that I know of. July 30th. No, the big closing day is going to be that Saturday.
Okay. So we're open for suggestions, or just let Del Arte kind of have that last weekend for the Folk Life Festival and not add on to it. And below, we have our August markets, July-August markets, and the 6 weeks, with the exception of August 6th, because of the wedding. The music, we were thinking about from 12:30 to 3:30 it would play. The market would be from 12 to 4 p.m. on Sundays. The chairs will be dealing with the music. The other event in August is our Buddy Brown Blues Festival, the 12th, which is booked. We have Oktoberfest actually in September this year on the 30th, the Medieval Fest, and our horse tour / tree lighting. Is there any comments about those items?
I don't know, I just wanted to disclose that I am sent at the Oktoberfest. I'm volunteering for that, so I'm somewhat involved with that. So going forward, I may have like a lot of input on it, just to keep everybody informed of what I know.
That's great.
Yes, please. Likewise, I'll keep everyone informed about Del Arte's schedule as we move forward, because our festival is really ramping up.
Awesome. We're lucky to have more connections now too on the commission.
It's good to be more involved.
Absolutely. Is there any public comment on that recreation month calendar?
I wanted to make a comment. Usually in the public, there's something called a conflict of interest. If you have financial gain from something, you could not participate in the conversation. But we're not talking about that here because I want you guys to have input and be involved. So that we're throwing that little rule out right now.
Well, I'm a volunteer.
I know, but that's what they say. You have to disclose a potential conflict of interest. It gets really old. So anyway, we don't want to go there. And I just really appreciate all of you folks bringing, your resources and your input and your time into what benefits the people here in Blue Lake. So that's my comment.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I might be doing Zeltsa the Medieval Festival if that's
Okay.
conflict or.
No, there's no conflict.
For a student, I think you're okay too.
Yeah.
It's a liaison.
Does Park and Rec have any sort of booth or anything going on in any Mary Day?
We would like to. We did last year, and we'll have a bit more staff this year to do things. We were thinking something of cotton candy or custom t-shirt printing like we normally do. We're selling skate passes. Something we've kind of got into is the 10 punch pass, and families tend to like that, right?
Do they still have the auction where you can buy tickets and put them in little things to put your votes in that? Is that? I got $1,500 at one of those things. That's what I was asking. Casper Jane owed me, finally paid up here. But anyway, I'm just curious how you're marketing, if you're still using that marketing technique where they.
I know when I first started, I worked there in 2019 at the rink. We did have a ticket process. I think we gave people a ticket and we had.
You actually pay $15 for 15 of them or something like that. So it is a moneymaker, like most
Yeah.
functions. You can make quite a bit of money off those things. Then people like to donate and be part of donating also, so.
Yeah, it's something we could definitely look into. I don't think we've done it since we shut down in March or.
COVID,
Yeah, 2020, I think it was. But
Just a thought, it worked
it
well.
was certainly fun when I was there. Thank you for that idea again.
I remember, Emily, that you guys made a lot of money on the jump house at, Festival of Courage, right?
So we made a ton of money. I was able to run it by myself. But our insurance carrier, Sierra, have strongly advised against bounce houses because of the liability. We weren't the ones that got in trouble, but I guess, people get hurt and sue. And so they advised we strongly don't do that, or if we do, we carry third-party coverage. We could always investigate what that coverage would be, but when we did the bounce house, it was like a $5 all-day bounce wristband, and the kids would go nuts, and we put them in like groups of 8 or 5 based on how big the kids were, and it was great. We made about $2,000 a day.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, a lot of
That's
kids.
impressive, yeah.
I contact with Amy Northam, and she's the one who runs your insurance pool down there.
You know,
So
Amy.
maybe I could get an exemption for you guys.
That would be great. Yeah, she runs the show.
Yep, she's the showrunner.
We've been told, but we thought it was great. The kids really enjoyed it, and thank goodness we didn't have any accidents when we did it.
Maybe you could
But
you could launder that and have somebody off-site, some other group run it, like the Old Crows could run it with their liability or something like that. Just kick the money. There's just certain ways to put up a firewall, and still get the money, so.
Absolutely.
Is the city planning on doing a booth again at the market?
We will.
Okay.
Last year we sold kind of Oriental trading toys, very cheap. This year we'd like to offer a higher quality product as we move into our novelty store at Brush. So whether that's t-shirts or maybe learning how to do beanies and things like that. But we'd like to. Is there any other public comment on the recreation month? Okay. Move on to our leisure sports tournament. So at our last meeting, this is something we talked about. This would be taking place, presumably, looking at this calendar, on that open Saturday, July 22nd, if this were to happen. My staff, the rec specialists, my group of 10 from the rink, have expressed interest in helping run this if we need extra help. But ideally, this would be a day in the park. Maybe 8 hours or so of fun, music, and casual games. And so some of the activities I've listed here: pickleball, cornhole, bocce, relays, bowling, etc., kickball. I'd like feedback on maybe what would be the best for the public, what would be the funnest for all different age groups, the locations of where we could have these events, the time suggestion of when it would be for the 22nd, and feedback of how people could register a team if they'd like to sign up for it. And so what this event would look like is we'd have teams of ideally 4 people that would compete in the activities you select or think are the best from this list. And then they would get a score and they would be ranked. The winning team would get either a trophy or prize. Yeah, it would be just a fun day. We could get live music in the park, even do like a barbecue type of thing out of a serving booth. But I'd love your guys' feedback and the public's feedback of what sounds fun, what sounds interesting.
Oh, you said July 22nd is the likely date?
That would be the likely date, kind of the open weekend.
The Sunday, that's Sunday?
It's a Saturday.
Okay.
So you're thinking trophy, like, so each team would compete in each one of the events, and then at the end of it, they, who accumulates the most points through each tournament.
Yeah.
You probably have to have like 4 or 5 events, and I don't think you could probably get through all of
No, I
those.
don't think so.
Mhm.
Where would you do the mini golf? For the holes in the ground?
Yeah, so that's where we would have to get creative and think,
Mhm.
how do we do some of these, because we don't have a golf course.
Right.
So some activities may make more sense than others.
Are we talking lawn bowling? Or
Yeah.
bowling? I feel like bowling, top of the list. Everybody likes bowling. Kids like bowling, adults like bowling. Bowling is easy. Bowling won't do anything to the grass.
Cool.
We already have the bocce ball court.
Three-legged races are a lot of fun.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Nice.
especially with like maybe getting sack race or something like that.
I was thinking too, because I think this sounds fun, you could get weird with it and go to like the Mad River and have like a short swim. Up it's like a timed swim or something like that. They'd have to do in the rivers to get wet and do something different.
Some sort of wacky triathlon.
Yeah.
Like, you have to swim the river dressed like a clown
Yeah,
or
what's a quad would be
dragon
a,
or
Mm-hmm.
something goofy.
Weren't we talking about potentially doing
Yeah,
what did you call it, a floating parade?
yeah. Something we wanted to do was a flotilla event, which would be a kind of wacky triathlon that would end at the river, and similar to the kinetic sculpture race where they do the boats, people would float those in our Mad River. And granted, we'd have guidelines of what they can and can't use.
Maybe we could solicit all the people and get them all out here for Kinetic Sculpture 2.0 or something.
Yes, that would
You never know, they might come.
I know.
Talk to Amy Northam about the liability.
That's exactly. Just like Kent said, the liabilities where we got hung up is our insurance won't cover it in case river stuff happens, and so they've said a third party would have to run the event to cover that liability.
Friends of the Mad River, what's his name there? What do you
Yeah.
Somebody to do that.
So we're hoping a business would be interested in carrying this, whether it's a group like RCMBA that holds probably a high level of coverage for the stuff they do. But that could be an interesting thing for sure.
Yeah, you can call it like something like the one night triathlon,
Mm-hmm.
something.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
If you wanted to get Kinetic involved and know the goddess Gemma, could
okay,
let it hire a couple of those other people.
that would be great. We'd love to connect, and I know they had one in, is it Ferndale, which was just fabulous to see everyone out on the street, so excited. But it'd be cool to have that in Blue Lake, whether it's at the river or down in Greenwood.
We're hoping to get Dan Comer out here from RMI, and he's big on the bikes thing up in the thing. To partner up with him any way you can, would be phenomenal, because you see how many people go through here to head up there to do that, and it's a hell of a great attraction along with the river bar. So any of those things, longer term wise, I would look toward working with Dan and his group there on the mountain bikes.
Great.
Also, if you sold like refreshments, like water, cookies, people are really, really hungry by the end of it, so that could be a nice money maker.
That could be super lucrative for sure.
Also, because there's not really a lot of grocery stores
Mhm.
very close, so you'd have a monopoly.
That could be something that Parks and Rec could do that would take us out of the liability but still be involved in the money part of it. But that's great. Thank you. Here I have bocce and bowling and possibly kind of a triathlon idea. Is there any other activities that stand out?
It kind of depends, I think, how you see it going. If you wanted it to be like in that field area, then I think like there's certain games that, are really ideal for that. You could kind of have, I don't know how big it would be, but you could kind of have people rotating from their, maybe if there was 12 teams, 3 3 teams are playing cornhole, 3 teams are playing bocce ball, 3 teams are doing the lawn bowling, 3 teams are doing pickleball or whatever. You want games that you kind of like rotate through kind of thing. It's kind of easy to draw that up and make that happen. But if you, excuse me, but in like basketball and stuff like that, it's kind of like a different crowd kind of. It's kind of more of like a younger crowd, I would say. Whereas like these other ones kind of like remind me of drinking beer and being out on the field.
Is that something that we want to incorporate? Because I was thinking about basketball bringing in a different crowd. Is that something we want to incorporate to expand who the event is for? Or do we want to keep it more on vibe?
I think we have Prosh Hall, if people want to do like pickleball or, the basketball, we do have Prosh to kind of do events in there.
I think pick a market and kind of go for that group instead of confusing the issue. Like if you're going to do something to where people are mountain biking and things like that's more outdoor crowd versus it's not a leisure. It kind of goes away from a leisure activity. When I think leisure, I think like barbecuing and doing something, kicking back, doing it. So like even maybe throwing badminton in there or something.
Okay.
I support that a lot. You don't want to get too shadow painted. These are some new things. Concentrate on your winners this time, and then in years future, you can expand on out. That's something I've seen people make major mistakes. They just try to do it all at once, and it all flops.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. Thank you.
What James is saying too, like I was thinking about doing this, and there's a friend of mine who I was like, oh, he'd like to do all these until he's got torn 2 Achilles tendons. He's 52. He's like, he's not going to want to do basketball. So yeah, just I think we kind of got to think about who do we, but maybe, yeah, you could also, years ago they had a basketball tournament out here, but it was just kind of different thing. So whatever we want to go for.
Okay. On your bocce, bowling, cornhole, maybe badminton.
Pickleball can be fun too.
Yeah, I think cornhole is a great one for sure. I like pickleball, cornhole, bocce.
So how about those first 5? Is 5 too many?
No, I think 5 is about like a right amount for teams. Relay.
Yeah.
Kind of like a low key relay.
Yeah. Yeah.
No sprinting.
Yeah.
Okay, then that sounds great.
If we could get ping.
That's perfect. It's 1 beer per event. You got you're left in a 6-pack. You got 1 to go home with.
Yeah. I don't think we could win beer pong.
Maybe not beer pong, but ping pong. Right. Ooh, if we could get the tables.
Next year we'll
that's a leisure sport.
This sounds great. A general time for the event, I wasn't sure how long or whether people would want to be out at the park for 8 hours. I didn't want to start too early because it's a leisure tournament. But do you guys have any suggestions of time?
It really depends on how many teams we get. If there's like 5 teams, you know what I mean? It's like 12, like it's okay with like a bunch of teams. Like I don't know how does it envision by you, I guess? Like is it something they're gonna advertise on radio for people to do it?
So we could work with Colin from Eureka Broadcasting to get it on there. I'm gonna be on a TV commercial thing June 29th that I can blast it out on there. I think something I learned is if you're not sure how far long an event's going to go, you could put a starting time, but not necessarily the ending time.
That's what I was thinking, until the winner's announced.
Yeah.
So how long do you think each of these events will take? In other words, you got 5 events. Are you allowing 30 minutes or 20 minutes for each? That's how you kind of reverse engineer it. That's autistic. How long you think it'll take, and then you figure your game plan. You might have to cut down to 3 or something because but that's how I would look at it. Kind of do a scheduling on the thing.
So general time per event.
And are there events that we could be doing kind of at the same time in rotation?
I think that all of them should be done at the same time in rotation.
Yep.
Yeah, I think so.
Sorry, what do you mean by that? Same time in rotation?
So is so you have how many? So like for instance, you can set up 4 different sets of cornhole things. So you have 4 cornhole games going at the same time, while you have 4 relays going at the same time. And then you have however many bowling stations set up at the same time. So that you're not doing one event at the same, all the time, waiting for people to go into it.
Gotcha. The only thing about that would be, how would you determine like a winner if you're not competing against each other?
I think if we had a board,
Points.
say, yeah, if we have like a point board where we can say, here's the pickleball winners of each match, here's the cornhole winners of each match, here's the bocce winners of each match, and then we'll just.
You'd have 5 points per event, basically, and you'd be assigning points, or how many teams you have. Your total points would be the winner of the whole thing as far as the ranking goes each time. I think that'd work.
But I might be thinking of this wrong, but if say there's 5 things, and so there's 5 different groups playing on each thing, there's gonna be 5 winners for pickleball, 5 winners for cornhole, 5 winners. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And none of those winners would ever face each other.
No, it would be a point system versus a elimination system. Potentially, the issue with the point system, though, is if you had however many teams that dominated the other teams in those groups,
I think
you need a 5-way tie.
You need to rotate your teams so that you're not playing one team against somebody through the whole process. In other words, some people go left, and other people go right around the circle, and that way you are competing with all the other teams cumulatively.
Another way that I was thinking you could do it, if you're rotating it, like I said, totally depends on how many people you get in this thing. If there's not that many people, then it doesn't, you could do it a bunch of different ways. But if there's a lot of people and you divide it up into groups, you could say like the top 2, you could do the points like you talked about, but the top 2 teams from each group make it into the final thing, which is the whatever game. And then they face each other for the championship. Does that make sense? Would be a way to do it.
That sounds good.
I think that could be good.
Do you guys foresee like an overall winner of the whole tournament or more per category? These are our
That's, yeah,
contenders.
they're both options. Like, it's really tough to.
I think the winner should get to pick up trash at the end of the event.
Well, can we do both? Like, can we do winners for each of the individual sports and then like a special award for the team that did the best at the most?
Yeah.
That's always great. The more winners you have, the more people are happy.
If you do
Everybody's
winners
a
of the-
surprise.
If you do winners of the individual sports, then you'd have to do a playoff system. Because each group's going into that, like, you would, there's the winners of the first group, second group, third group, whatever, and then you'd have to have a playoff for each of those. And the issue I see with that is time of the day that you have.
Mm-hmm. Playoff system.
I gotta go. Thank you for letting me participate in your process here.
Thank you for being here.
Well, like I said, I don't know, I think it makes, like I said, I think it sounds like a lot of fun. If you can't tell, I'm totally interested in doing this. But if you did like the 5 things, and like I said, completely depends on how many people you have, but it could be like the top 1 team from each of the 5 groups, or the top 2 teams, and then they just go into one final thing, what it could be, the relay race or whatever it is, and whoever wins that's the champion. I mean, I think it's probably just everyone's got there in the sun and have fun together, and then they're the champion.
That sounds good. Any input on the side?
I'd say winners per event, just because it'd be hard to have teams do like a bunch of different events.
Mm-hmm. I think a playoff system could work if we had like a ref keeping track of each one. And if we set a time of the day, so let's say 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock is when the winning teams start playing each other. Does that make sense? So we say like, here's the open event where everybody gets to try to
Take your best shot.
take your best shot.
Mhm.
And then we get to this point, and then, that's when that we're getting closer towards the end of the event, towards the awards. Does that make sense? I don't do sports, I do theater, you know, so I can figure out times for things, but also I don't know how long it takes to play a round of bocce
Yeah,
ball.
I'm with you.
I've definitely played like a 2-hour game of bocce ball because everyone was so bad, you know?
It might be helpful, I could talk with, you know, the.
Oh, Crows, they're playing bocce all the time.
Yeah,
And those would be the people that would be more interested in that part of the sport. Whereas cornhole, like a cornhole game can go anywhere from 20, I don't think most cornhole games like to 20 points. You'd have to limit that because they can take, well, it depends on the beer consumption definitely, but they can take anywhere from 20 minutes to an hour for.
okay, for cornhole.
Yeah.
Any game could take a long time depending on how much beer you've had.
Yeah.
Well, in the playoff round could be something really goofy that has nothing to do with skill. Like you have to run across the field holding an egg on a spoon while, you know, your partner runs backwards and you're holding hands or something crazy, you know. And if you drop the egg, you're out. And if you spill the beer, you're out or whatever. You know, just really goofy stuff that, you know, so that kind of equals sort of a field leveling thing where it's like, you know, the goofiest person might win as opposed to the most athletic or whatever.
I think playoffs too, they feel a little bit more rewarding.
Mhm. That reminds me of when it, like minute to win it kind of thing, you know, everyone's excited.
Whoever gets the most points in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
5 minutes to play this game.
Okay, just kind of a few different ideas spinning here. How would you guys like to proceed? I see there's kind of an overall winner of each category, and whether we have some like playoffs that are more lighthearted or activities. Maybe one of them is a lighthearted activity.
I think some of them could be more lighthearted and some of them I could see being a lot more competitive or getting more competitive groups in who like want to win.
Like pickleball will be competitive for
And
sure.
bocce ball too.
Yeah.
I think we should go ahead and go forward with the ideas of these items, but I think we need to do some more research on them before making any decision. We need to talk to to people that play bocce ball more. We need to talk to people that play, like figure out what relay games we'd want. Because my biggest thing that I see is time constraint. As I'm thinking that it's like if it was 5 teams, then that would be like 3 hours. But if you're looking at 15 or 20 teams, that I don't know that we could do that all in one game in one day.
I think you could, but that's why I think you have to rotate it. But like that's like they do, you know, they used to do. Hopefully they still do it for Andy and Mary days. They do that bocce ball tournament, and that takes a long time. Just one bocce ball tournament takes a long time. There's a bunch of teams in it, probably I don't know, 10 or 15 or so.
Yeah.
But it doesn't go quick. So yeah, I think you'd have to like you said, if you're gonna try to get a bunch of people to do it, you're gonna have to like rotate them. So multiple people are doing multiple things at one time.
Yeah.
Not everybody going just for time's sake.
And we don't want people walking away frustrated because they don't think it was organized very well,
Yeah.
and they want to have fun, and organization is key to that.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. So it looks like I could bring back more stuff on the 5th.
Yeah.
And do a lot of background work.
I could ask people too, just that I know what people would be interested in doing, or maybe we could all ask around if you know anybody who might want to do these things and see what they would want to do and how they would do them.
And I'll do the same. I definitely get involved. I won't be here for them. If that's the dates, I won't be here for that. I'll be here for the meeting, but I won't be here for that.
The 22nd.
No.
Change your flight plans
No, I think Sweden comes first.
Yeah.
over the leisure sports.
What is the date of the leisure tournament?
The 22nd, presumably,
Of July.
of July. And it could always be pushed into, you know, a different month too if we need more time.
Yeah, because if you're gonna decide it next month,
It's
it's
really
really
That's
time
just-
to
I know
promote
it's-
it.
I know, I almost feel like we should have been looking at this, well, I wasn't here, but like a couple months ago.
Mhm.
It's a really great idea. I just hope, like, pulling it off that quick.
presentation stage.
Well, also you guys can decide to have a special meeting in another couple of
Yeah.
weeks or something,
I think that would be great.
if you really want to try to pull it off for that time frame.
Sounds, whether we'd like to have a special meeting or meet on.
Would you, I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that. I make a motion to make a special meeting.
Okay.
Leisure sports meeting,
These are sports meeting, exactly.
second that.
So Emily, you've probably done a bunch of research about dates and other things that are going on all over the place.
Oh, absolutely. July.
So is July 22nd the best time to do that?
It's kind of around the different festivals happening. It's one of the more lull weekends. Not that the summer's, not busy, but at least in my looking at what's going on, it seems like an okay day. There's no big rodeos or festivals happening.
Right?
Okay, so that would mean our meeting will be 2 weeks from now, on a Wednesday.
What would that be,
So
Sarah?
that would be June 21st. We do have the Arts and Heritage Commission meeting that same night, so we would need to meet at Brosh Hall, or unless we switch around.
I make a motion that we meet Wednesday, June 21st at either the Lager Bar or the brewery.
I second that.
Yep, I'm down.
I don't technically know if that's okay, so
I think,
I
here's
don't
the
know.
thing, I think,
If it's on the agenda, that,
maybe, I think it might not be okay, maybe. But the other thing you guys, it's the whole Brown Act thing, right? If you guys are planning something and you're having an actual meeting of a quorum of your commission, then it has to be noticed and be an official thing. If you've formed a subcommittee or an ad hoc committee right now just for the leisure tournament, you can get around, you don't have to have
that's true,
a
yeah.
regularly noticed deal, but you can only have 2 commissioners present at that meeting without having.
And you can't make a decision.
Well, you can.
We don't have any commissioners present yet, right? We only have 1 commissioner.
So they're technically commissioners now, so if 2 out of 3 wanted to make an ad hoc committee and do research and talk.
I think.
You know what? You two can do, if you two are really into this, you can do it.
You guys go to the tap room or the lawyer or wherever you want.
Yeah, because in that way you could meet wherever you'd like. But in that instance, would you still like to do the special?
I think
meeting?
so, but like Jeff and I, we can get together and talk about it, and then we could meet at Crash or whatever, and then we could, we let you guys know what we came up with, the information.
That sounds good.
Mhm.
So in this instance, I guess we would edit the motion to include creation of an ad hoc committee.
Yeah.
Jeff and James. And all approve, say aye.
All right,
Alright,
So just so I'm clear, James, me and you were gonna talk about this, and then
Right.
we'll all meet Wednesday, June 21st in Fresh Hall.
that's correct. And more ideas?
Was that James who motioned that originally?
That was me.
Awesome. Second was?
Yeah.
Me.
Awesome.
I want to make another motion real quick to take a 5-minute break. 'Cause
Take a quick intermission?
Yeah.
Absolutely.